Fuck it, we're doing it live.
We're doing it live.
Okay, we're doing it live.
I was gonna have like an intro video, but I don't know how to do that shit yet. So fuck it. This is our intro. What up? We're a shit show. All right. So me post on the tweet machine that we're live.
Doesn't say yet. Is there like is there a stream delay?
A little bit, yeah.
I see it.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
just
want to see
came
what
on,
this looks like.
Oh, I got hit with an ad immediately.
I don't even get any money for that yet. That's fucking bullshit.
Rob.
That's
What the
really-
shit?
I'm in the corner.
Yeah, sorry. Everybody's in a corner technically.
All in corners, like. What's baby?
All right. So technically, how this is gonna work?
I don't see chat on my
You don't see chat?
chat. I don't know how to work Twitch, honestly.
That's okay. Most people don't.
Okay.
One of my goals is by the end of this thing is get everybody into that know how to use it so we can actually use this as a platform too. It's because so many other artists use this like now as a form of income, and the more we get people incorporated into the atmosphere, the better it's going to be for them. So
Ooh, maybe that's a good topic that we can.
maybe it is.
Yeah,
All right, so this is a pre-show technically.
I
We
do like the
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But this is a pre-show technically, so we're just gonna go through for everybody to do some quick introductions, and we'll just do top corner across. So Autobotanist, you go first. Give us the rundown of who you are.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm from Pittsburgh. Been raving for a while now, probably since I was like 18 or so. So I'm 25 now, so 7 years-ish. Favorite artists, let's see, Odessa, Flume, Alice in Wonderland, Porter Robinson, Elohim. That's my top 5 just right off the dome. I like Taco Bell. That's
Nice.
basically
Hey, Taco Bell.
Yeah.
That was the only one.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. We'll move across here. Creep out. What is your actual at? I can't see, it's too small. The Spooky Wook. All right.
yeah. Yeah, I'm Plant Pea Spice on Twitter because I really love but the real name's exact history is him. I've been raving since I was 18 and I'm 25 now, so we're on the exact same time frame. I'm true to my Twitter name. I am a spooky wook, so I like super heavy, like horror themed bass, like Front Case, Void, and stuff like that. But then also, like, I'm a slut for anything Wakan. We all talked about earlier. I am on a metal bender right now as well, so
Nice.
not listening to EDM because all I'm listening to is people screaming. Other than that, I know nothing about myself because I hate this question and it's so much pressure. And
Yo,
forget
no, I hate
everything
it too.
that ever happened to me.
That was
Don't
like my
ask it.
biggest fear in class in high school when we would have to introduce ourselves like the first day of school.
I was like,
feel
what
like
do
this
I
is it
like?
right now.
I don't
This
know.
is literally the first day of school for all of us. I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Not next, right?
There we go. All right. So, next is Virtual Ecstasy.
Visual.
What was it? Visual Ecstasy. I'm sorry. It's like super
Visual.
small on my
Yeah.
screen, man. Sorry.
It's all good. My name is Eddie. I'm gonna just say Anaheim, California, because I feel like nobody knows where Orange is.
Mm.
I'm from I'm from Anaheim, California. I've been raving. I haven't been going to festivals and shows until recently, probably like 4 or 5 years. But I've been into EDM since I was like in middle school, like 7th grade. I like Dead Mouse a lot. I like the Dioro when he was Tonic.
Cool.
I'm 24 years old. What else? What else should I say? What else should I say? I stream. I'm a streamer here on Twitch. I just reached affiliate too not that long ago. And I'm also a photographer in the EDM scene. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome, dude. All right. Cole, you're next.
Awesome. What's up, everyone? My name's actually Ryan, not Cole. But
I don't believe you right now. This is
whatever you want. But yeah, so I'm a grandpa in the scene. So I'm 29 years old. 30 is approaching. It's right around the corner. But yeah, I've worked in the industry. I've worked for Insomniac. I've worked with music festivals. Music's always just been a huge driving factor in my life. So I wanted to always just like work in the industry. And then yeah, some of my favorites off the top of my head are Porter Robinson, Odessa, Jade Cicada, Super Task, and I really fuck with 140 stuff. So
All right, rad. All right, so to like kind of get the feel of how it's gonna work.
Wait, no, that's not fair. You have to say stuff too.
I have to say stuff about me?
Oh, you try to skip himself.
Wow. Yeah, I thought I can get away with it because I run this thing. You know what I mean? So.
He just kicked us all out of the chat. He bans all 4 of us.
Yeah, you're all banned. You can't come back. So my name is Rob. I'm actually I've been listening to EDM for a super long time. Back with like Nero, and I used to listen to like really weird stuff too because I used to be a writer, and I used to listen to like Get Into the Groove, listen to that stuff like Komodo and stuff like that. And I've only just started going to the festivals probably and like shows and stuff probably like 2017ish. So I'm really new to like that part of the scene. Yeah, but I've been listening to the music. I've been a part of it for a while. What was that? Oh yeah. I'm a little young when it comes as far as that goes. Yeah, I am. Yeah, but like I'm old, so like I adapted really fast because I've been a competitive gamer for Halo. I've been part of bigger communities for a long time. I've been streaming and making content for games and just YouTube for like since like 2009. So I've been around the block for a while. But yeah, that's why I'm excited to host this because I'm old and I think I have some good ways to, some experience, basically. Dude, I'm not used to this much chat interaction, so like I got to keep track of that also. Yeah, so the way this is gonna kind of work now that I've got my introduction out of the way, I'm super bad at it too. If you didn't tell, I get super nervous when I have to talk about myself. So the way it's gonna work, right? We're gonna work probably from the top left corner around. We're gonna. Yeah, you're the. Maybe we'll go reverse a couple times, but it's mostly you. It's all on you. So we're going to start like a topic, and then we're going to try to give everybody time to talk, and then we'll move on to the next person. And and then if you have something to say, just kind of we'll just go around in circles. If you have to interrupt, like you're like burning with passion, just like do it. Like it's like not a big deal. But if it involves and if it like turns into all chaos, I'll just mute everybody and we'll restart like order in the court type shit. So basically the plan is so the first, just for introductions, just to get used to the thing, we're gonna have like small debate that has like nothing to do with anything. So the first question for everybody is, how many holes does a straw have?
I'm saying 2.
2 holes.
2.
What is the reasoning behind the 2 holes?
Top and bottom, baby.
Top and bottom? That's it? That's a... All right. All right.
I get the 1 hole, and I just had to commit to something. I'm committing to 2.
I'm just gonna say 1 because everybody's gonna say 2.
I
That's the only
wanted to
reasoning
say 1
behind it.
because if you take a circle, right? Like a bigger circle, and then you cut a hole in it,
That's
that would be
big
the
brain.
straw.
That's-
That's in 1 hole.
You got 1 hole?
That's the biggest brain shit
I
I've
don't
ever
know
heard.
if that made sense. I'm trying to lawyer it.
What are we doing? We're going around this way, right? All right, so Cole's next.
I'm gonna say 2 holes. It's like a cylinder. It's 2 holes, but it's like 1 pathway.
All right. You said you have 1 hole, right? Visual ecstasy, or you have 1 hole, right?
Yeah, I said 1. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got to be 1 hole for me, right? It's literally just like a fucking circle. and then you just put you just bore a hole and it's a straw, right? Like if I took like a soup can and I guess it's just a really big straw, right? If I just started sucking out a soup can, right? Like if you cut the bottom out.
No, but that
No.
wouldn't work because you need the other hole. Well,
Yeah, it would be a little hole in the
No,
bottom. It'd be all the way
it's-
through, and it's just like if you had a big enough mouth, you could just suck the soup can, and it's a straw. Like,
okay,
gotta
but
be
no, it's
careful with
not a
that
straw.
motion.
It's a can.
You gotta be a little. People are gonna loop that.
Listen, let me
they'll loop this. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, man. That's bad news.
That could be the first loop of the show.
Oh man, I'm already a meme, dude.
It's the same as a straw. That's no hole.
I don't think there's a definitive answer, but I'm pretty sure it's one foot. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Making
Well,
it
I mean, we have
dirty and
Google.
they're like,
Chat, you gotta settle this right now. 1 for 1 hole, 2 for 2 holes. Ready, go.
Where are the straw
"No,
professionals
that's
when you
making
need
it dirty.
them?
Yeah.
Clip it. He clipped it already.
It's one path.
Oh shit.
Do we have chat? Chat says 1. Everybody's got the 1, so I think 1 for sure.
I'm gonna get spam man. Oh yeah,
Thank
I
you,
can't.
Robert. Robert had my back. Hey.
There we go. All right. Okay, so I mean, it's getting pretty close to 7 o'clock. I don't know who else. I think we could just probably get into it, unless you guys want to go over another one, like as a hot dog a sandwich. That's another one we could probably do for another 8 minutes to kill time. As a hot dog a sandwich.
Is serious?
Pain.
I think about this all the time, and I still haven't come up with a good answer. I'm gonna say no.
Wait,
Hey.
how often do you think about this?
Like every other day, probably. I'm gonna say no.
This
it's
haunts
not a
him in his
sandwich.
dream.
I wake up in a cold sweat, and I'm like, "Is it a sandwich?"
He has nightmares about
It's a glizzy a sandwich.
it.
It's yeah. Now it's elevated to a new status. It's just a glizzy.
It's just a glizzy, yeah.
Okay, but like, if we would have to define sandwich at that point, because do subs count as sandwiches? Are those the same thing?
It's a submarine
How would
sandwich. That's the name of it, right?
This
Yeah.
more of a sub, and if both are synonyms for either, then it's all the same thing. But it's kind of like a square can be a rectangle, but a rectangle can't be a square, or whatever the fuck.
That's
it is.
good.
I think it's the other
Yeah.
way around.
We get you though.
Whose turn is it?
It's yours.
I think
It's
I
cereal.
think it is. Actually, yeah, I think it is. I mean, I don't really have a reason for it, but I really think it is.
You think it's a sandwich?
Wait, a hot dog, or are we talking about sub? Oh, we're talking about hot dog.
A hot dog.
A hot pocket is a
I don't.
pie.
A hot
I don't
pocket.
think it is.
A hot pocket is a pie, I think too. It's a pie.
All right, so
Hot
I'm gonna
pocket is
say
pie?
A hot pocket is pie. Robert, I thank you for that.
Wow.
this is
Is
my
cereal soup?
so this is my answer. So it's sandwich adjacent.
Sandwich adjacent.
On the base level of what a sandwich is just like typically meat and bread, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if you go on the base level of the definition of a sandwich, then yeah, technically you could call it that, but it's not one, so it's sandwich adjacent. That's my answer. Final answer. I yield my time.
Although
Fuck you,
technically it isn't always, it always isn't meat though, because there are vegetarian sandwiches, you
Yeah,
know,
like a
just
grilled
bunch
cheese
of
sandwich.
veggies. So are those technically not considered sandwiches anymore? Yeah. I'm
So
talking
then
with my
it
hands,
could be
I can't
anything
help it.
between two pieces of bread, right? Or between bread. So
Yeah,
then
but
it's
it's-
just
Because a hoagie is one piece of bread. Because it's so. I hate this question.
It's a bad question.
It's a glizzy. Final answer.
Yeah. That's bad. It's a bad question. There's no right answer. Like, really, when you start asking these things, it's the fabric of reality starts tearing apart.
Is it even real meat?
What's
Oh my
a
god.
glizzy? Because I started seeing
Oh,
that
it just goes
everywhere
on
on
and on.
Twitter, and I don't know.
You didn't see our boy Joey Chestnut suck down 74 glizzies on 4th of July?
wait, did they still have that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Social distance,
No.
glizzy
What's a
glizzy
glizzy?
gobbling, I guess.
Glizzy's just a hot dog.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is not
Okay.
a sandwich.
I feel so good now. See, I'm
Sandwiches.
learning.
All right, so okay. I mean, it's if we're 5 minutes away. Well, we started the show late, so we can start the actual show early. Right? That's how we do it. We're responsible adults. So we'll start at the top. What is the first topic that you guys want to talk about?
Okay. So I only prepared one.
That's okay.
So I guess I'll just get it out there. So I've noticed recently, well, it happens with a bunch of different artists. You know, they release limited amounts of merch and they sell out immediately. And I just want to get people's thoughts on it because, like, I know I've been frustrated before where, like, I set an alarm and everything and I still miss merch instantly. Like, what do you think the reasoning that they do these limited releases? Is it like exclusivity, like, you know, only a certain amount of people get it? Is it like a production thing? So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Here's some thoughts.
All right.
I always wondered that too, because if you release more, I mean, wouldn't you just be making yourself more money anyways? So like, I never really understood that
I
either,
think
because you really like, I don't know, for me, if I see somebody else with like something like a jersey or whatever that's sold out and I wanted it, like I don't really see that person as like any more of a different fan than I am just because they got it. Or I don't know if that's how you're supposed to feel. I guess I don't know if that's how the artists want you to feel, but I I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why they would be doing that either, because it is frustrating.
I
I
mean, I think.
think
Go ahead.
I think at the moment it's kind of hard to get a general basis on that because I feel like it's been I feel like before Corona happened, it was as cheap. Like people would sell out of things, but because Corona shut down so much of the world, that I think production for these things is a little bit more limited than it used to be. Um, and also, I think so. I don't know how merch works, but I would assume that the people making the merch have to pay for all the merch up front and then sell it back for their return, you know? And so it also might be that some of these DJs, because they're not touring, they're not making as much money as they used to, might not be able to push out that much inventory at one time without getting the return back on it. So I think it's kind of, I think it'll be interesting if this is still a consistent problem. The world is not as fucked as it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. So I think since one of the big revenue streams of most artists has just been taken away, they kind of have to rely on merch, right? Like artists aren't really making money off music sales. They're making it off of live touring. They're making it off of merch. They're making it off of like pretty much anything else that they can think of. Like if they're doing, I don't know, if they're doing live streams and they're setting them up behind paywalls. But I think it's a couple different things. One, I think it's a marketing tactic. If you are announcing that you have this limited version thing, you're going to generate hype, and then that hype is going to in turn get you like almost an instant sellout. Now, when it comes to like the argument of people saying like, oh, but that's not fair to like the other people that were in line or whatever, anything like that, I'm like, yeah, but I mean, that's kind of the nature of limited drops, right? Is like there's a set amount, and if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. So while it is tough, like, and I do think it's I what I will say is I'll commend LS Dream, because I know he has been dropping limited merch drops, and then like there's been a little bit of outrage behind it, which is like, it's fine. Like it would make you upset if you didn't get something like a piece of clothing from an artist that you really, really enjoyed, right? Like that's a normal kind of reaction. So I will say that like I commend him for doing another release, but ultimately like these limited releases are like basically marketing plans and ways to make money. And I can't really like fault the artist for doing limited releases when one of their biggest revenue like streams has just literally ceased to exist because of COVID. So that's kind of how I feel on it.
So do you think
I also think we could normalize doing pre-sales.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. So like San Holo recently dropped his merch and he's doing like a week of pre-orders. Do you think like, that way as many people who have the money at the time, they can all get a shot at getting the merch? Like, don't you think that would be like a better idea overall? So that way like everyone who can afford it gets it, and it's like it's still generating that hype because it's like, oh, it's only this limited amount of time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still think you're gonna have people that are
Well,
upset,
if we
obviously,
don't
right?
have-
That yeah, I mean, you're gonna have people that are upset.
Well,
that
and
they didn't
also they
get
have to make
money.
sure that they don't go the slander route.
Oh, what happened with that? Did they not send out their merch or something like that?
Didn't their jerseys just
They
take like
did, but it was still in 8 months, like 8 months
God
to be
damn.
made because sale. So yeah, so it took like 8 months because they ran into issues with the production company.
Dang. Yeah, I kind of agree that it's definitely. I think it's more of a marketing tactic than anything. I think exclusivity sells like very, very hard, and
Mhm.
it is a weird like I don't know. It's obviously I don't want to say a moral conundrum, but it is, especially when we have the fan bases that we do, and like the I don't know, the bigger you get, it's harder to keep that exclusivity like exclusive, but it does, like I had this conversation before, it does divide the fans, like like are you the better fan because you fucking reloaded your phone 17 times, but like it also at the same time it's cool, like I see people, I'm like a big Peekaboo fan, and I see people with a Peekaboo V1 stuff all the time, and I always kind of do give them like hey man, that's fucking cool, I'm glad I would have had that, but like I'm happy that you do, and it kind of like I think the separation does come from a little bit the other person has to take responsibility for not being so envious, like it's just cool, you got lucky, you did it, I'm proud of you, happy for you, like you know what I mean, like it's just it's an interesting thing, and I do think exclusivity sells, and I do think it's supporting the artist more than anything, because what that does is next drop it's gonna sell it again, and you have this wave of sellouts, and that helps them get bookings, it helps their pocketbooks, it helps a lot of things when you say I keep selling out merch every time I drop it, oh my goodness, you know what I mean? So it's definitely an interesting conundrum. I don't know if pre-orders are going to fix everything. What do you guys feel about that? Like I think pre-orders are interesting because they do that for shoes, don't they? Like now, like you can pre-order shoes like on an app, but it ends up being the same thing. It just ends up it doesn't help, it doesn't stop bots or any of that stuff. That's another thing. Bots are awful now. Like
Yeah, my brother-in-law, he resells shoes, and he runs like a lot of bots and like he has a whole inventory here in the house, and it's fucking like
yeah.
it's insane.
I know a lot of hype beasts, man. I'm in the shoes thing too, and that's what they do, man. They set up a bots. They get as many people to try to get in as possible, and they resell them the shoes for a higher price. And it's something that that the artists have to start paying attention to also, because that we see that happening with tickets very recently. Tickets are selling out because people are botting them, so and then reselling them for higher prices. Especially for like Forest. I think Forest was the last one that did that. We had to worry about that. So that's an interesting thing coming up too. And maybe pre-orders will give a chance to be like, all right, like having waves of pre-orders, be like, all right, we took away some of those bots, and now there's more remaining, and then you can do it again. That would be interesting.
I think pre-orders though are just kind of like this, a little bit of like a false sense of security. I mean, I do think it's helpful in terms to the artist, because then they have the data and the analytics to see like, oh well, how much did we sell from the pre-order, that type of thing. So then they're not like having to frantically, all right, so now we have this much and now we have to distribute all of it. Like now they have a breather. So I think that's helpful in that sense, but I don't think it does anything in terms of lessening how quickly the limited edition merch is going. I think it's just a false sense of security.
I think that's a good point though, that like it brings up how much they can actually sell too. Like they get an idea of how big their fan base is and how much product they can actually sell.
Mm-hmm.
And it also helps when we have live shows again. If we're doing pre-order, they know we're gonna wait beforehand, and then they still buy like 100, 200 extra to bring to shows for like new fans to pick up there.
I just think it's funny we're all getting
So in
all
the long run,
swagged
they would
out
sell
to
even
just-
more on top of it.
Yeah. I just think it's funny that we're like getting all swagged out to just like lay around the house.
Yeah.
Who are we really
but
showing
when
off
that-
to?
When that first festival
I
comes
bought
back,
so
we're
much
all gonna
merch
look fly.
this
So.
quarantine.
I'm gonna wear like 4 jerseys on top of
God,
each
my
other.
Dumbass, my
Change.
dumbass, I heart raved
It
sent
could be
me
like
an email, and they were
140
like
degree weather.
80% off everything, and I was like, well, I'm gonna buy everything then. Like, I don't know when I'm gonna wear everything from IRS, but I'm buying. I'll be ready.
You're gonna be fresh as fuck when they come back.
bought 3 new pairs.
That's. Would you get 3 new
I'm
pairs?
tall as fuck. I have so many platforms now, and I'm.
All right. So, do we have like a
Is his audio super delayed from what he's doing too?
what? Am I delayed when I'm moving around?
Not for me.
Okay. Sometimes,
No.
sometimes your chats, your video is a little delayed.
Autobotness is
Yeah, I'm
delayed.
seeing it from hers.
Sorry, I'm on a super shitty hotel Wi-Fi. I'm doing my best.
That's okay. It's not gonna go perfect for everybody. That's the nature of the internet, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Don't attack me like this, Robert. He's in the chat, not you, Rob.
Yeah, I know. The amount of money Kendall has spent, LOL.
Dude, I haven't spent on merch at
No
all.
problem.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, the internet just cuts out in and out. I think for some people, and that's just the way we're gonna have to deal with, unfortunately.
Auto-tune.
I'm the hardest to hear.
Yeah,
Because I live in the middle of fucking nowhere.
I understand that vibe. I live in Wisconsin, so like either you're in the city or you don't have internet connection. So, all right. So do we have like a
I
definitive?
live about an hour outside Seattle.
Oh, all right. I don't know anything about Washington State besides Seattle, so yeah, I understand. Do we have any like?
I live in the mountains.
Do we
I'm a
ha-
mountain woman.
You're a mountain woman? All right, cool. I'm a little jealous, honestly. I don't have anything cool here besides cheese and alcoholism.
Hey, that's funny. We have alcoholism too.
Whoa.
So do we. Wow.
So do we
I
have?
was also raised in Portland, TGP 99.
That's my friend Trisha. Say hi, Trisha. Hi, Trisha.
Hi, Trisha. So do we have like a definitive answer on how we think we might be like running the merch going forward, or is it just kind of just like we're gonna have to deal with whatever we had just to support the artists that we care about?
I feel like everybody should just deal with it. I'm like,
Set four
it really is just about supporting the artists, and they obviously know how much they could sell, and they obviously know what they're doing way more than we do. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that at all.
me neither, really. If I was doing,
I wish I could.
if I was in their shoes, I'd be doing exclusive merch drops. Also, honestly, I think it'd be cool. It's just cool to have that stuff. In my opinion, I don't have anything exclusive, but it would be cool to have something and be like, "Oh, I got it." You know what I mean? That feeling is what you're really buying.
I think it would be on like. I think it would have to be a case by case basis. Like if it's just like a simple black with your logo on, not exclusive. Like if you get something exclusive, I want it to look fresh as fuck. Like I want to feel like my stress and anxiety about not making this drop and panicking that I'm not gonna get it is worth it. So I feel like there could be like pre-sales for like average merch, and then like exclusive merch would be own
Yeah.
story. You know, it would be like artist collabs and stuff like that. When a super cool graphic design help with it, or their jerseys. Like I don't want a fucking exclusive black T-shirt from Walmart that you slapped
I feel
a
that too.
vinyl sticker
If it's
on.
exclusive, it better feel and look
It's
exclusive.
stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it comes down to.
Right.
All right. You want to move on to the next topic? Everybody cool with that?
Sure.
All right. Next topic. It's all on you. Spooky Wook.
Are we still going in like an order? Or
Yeah. Same order and same order until I decide otherwise.
No, damn it.
What you think was never to come to you? You should have.
Damn it. Okay, so yeah. I was hoping we'd just forget about me and I could be an observer. So I mean, I think it works well because I'm also the only girl. So this is like, and of course, I'm the person that's gonna bring this up. I think I wanted to touch base on how I feel like we as like a rape community should try to move forward after quarantine, because the big quarantine that has such an impact is all the political awareness that everyone, you know, realizing and pushing towards. And so I think one of the biggest things that we're seeing, and why the fact that like all these people are getting canceled for sexually assaulting women and stuff like that, is we need to bring awareness about being a girl. That's kind of hard, and being a girl everywhere is hard, specifically into the industry. Like I said in the Discord messages, like all of us together could probably name like 10 super big female DJs, and those people are going to be like Lucy and Alice in Wonderland and stuff, and they also perform their own vocals on top of that, which is ties a lot into their own success. And I think that's kind of a double-edged sword, because besides people like T, male DJs don't usually do the vocals. It's what people, Dylan Matthews and stuff. And so there are just a lot of patience a woman and trying to get your foot in the door professionally in the scene outside, just, you know, going to shows and supporting it. It's really hard. I worked for USC Events for 5 years, and then I also ran Rose Entertainment out of Portland for 3 years while I was there. And it was just fucking countless times that I would walk backstage, you know, trying to take an artist to the green room, and they would just start immediately flirting and like seeing what I was doing after. And I'm sitting here like, no, bro, like I'm trying to be professional. This is my job. I'm not just the piece of ass the boss sent back here to keep you company. There's a lot of systemic sexism in this. I think when Corona dies down, I think all of us should try to make, I don't want to say try to make a better, I don't know, act. I don't know how I was trying to say that. I don't think it should be something that's necessarily like a big push of like, oh, we need to idolize all these female DJs and blah, 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 because they're a girl. Like, obviously talent is what matters more than anything, you know? But I think we do need to bring some awareness about the fact that like Rez and Lucy Key and Whipped Cream and stuff, a lot more hate than most female DJs, simply for the fact that they're a woman, which is pretty fucked. And we need to figure out like steps toward changing that, I guess.
What do you think? Yeah, go ahead. No, I was gonna say what.
TLDR.
Yeah, no, that's good. So what do you think are some of the biggest steps we can do as like a group of like I guess we're technically like a group of fans and artists. What do you think we can do specifically to start being the change that is important for that things like immediately, maybe in the internet and in person? What do you think is like the number one thing that we can start doing?
Is that for anyone?
For anybody, yeah. I'm just lobbing it out there. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think an interesting thing.
Like, I don't want to talk anymore. I'm done.
No, you can stop. Yeah. Whatever you're comfortable with. Yeah, you did a good job.
So I think an interesting thing to start with is just like, I think you touched on it a little bit. It's just like accountability. Like you said, you know, you're getting sexualized like immediately when you were just trying to do your job. Like I think that's bullshit. Like, so if you see people doing that, like, and that you kind of touched on it, like what we've seen on Twitter is like other people being like, no, don't do that. You're being an asshole. So like, we have these tough conversations with people and say, hey, that's not okay. Like, they're people too. They're just trying to do their best. They're not fucking objects. Like, let's treat women as people, not like fucking less than equal. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that's like the first step is just recognizing like, hey, like we're all just people. We're all just trying to like lift each other up. It's not always about sex and stuff like that. It's like, hey, let's have these conversations. You know, let's not be assholes, basically, and you know, hold other people accountable for that.
And I feel like nowadays too, like on Twitter, especially, like I wasn't before I made a Twitter, I wasn't really that deep into like EDM and stuff, so I didn't really had no idea what was going on with like all the drama and all that. And I feel like once I started following more people in the EDM scene, my timeline is just full of like people getting exposed or like people getting called out, and it's like there's every day there's like always like something, and like I don't know whether to think like that's just like a bad thing or it's just us as like a community bringing out or exposing all the shitty people in the community. But like I'm all for exposing people for like the shitty stuff that they do, and like, but like that really doesn't. I feel like that really doesn't even kick them out of the community or anything because they're still gonna go to festivals. They're still gonna do the shitty things they do. Like just because you expose somebody on Twitter, they're I feel like they're still gonna continue to be a shitty person. So like I don't know how us as a community are able to fix that other than trying to expose the person that they really are. You know what I mean? So like I'm trying to think of other ways that we could just besides bringing them more exposure and like I mean I guess the exposure we are giving them too is like bad too. So I mean I guess we're not helping them. But like when I see someone get exposed, I sometimes see their follower count go up for some reason. And it's like a bunch of mutuals that like I follow too, and I'm like, what? Like I don't understand. Like, why are you guys so intrigued about someone that's being such a shitty person? Like, why do you guys need to follow this person? Like, why do you have to be? Why you guys got to keep up with the drama? Like, why can't we just keep it about the festival and the music? You know, like it's just, I don't know.
I think Rob had a good point. I mean, he made a video. Was it end of last week, Rob?
Yeah.
Talking about like cancel culture and everything like that, and you know, I just think it's cancel culture is one of those things where, to Rob's point, he's saying like no one's really getting canceled. Like,
Exactly.
sure, their names being dragged through the mud and everything, rightfully so. But like, there's still like, I mean, I'm trying to navigate this without like platforming some of these people. But one recent producer that, or I mean, it wasn't recent, but it was the one that started it all, obviously, recently put out new music. And so it's like, it comes back to the whole idea of like, oh, well, separating them from the music. And I think it's hard to do that because ultimately, even though producers and everything aren't making a lot of money off of their music streams, like you still listening and still actively supporting them and listening to that music is a support for them. Like they're an artist, they're a person, but you listening to them is still supporting them. And so in regards to women in the industry, I'm seeing some points in the chat as well that are saying like there's the term female DJ or female producer should not be a thing, and I wholeheartedly agree. If you're talented, you know, it's just DJ or producer. Like there shouldn't be that moniker, that label. They just want to be treated like everyone else as well. And then something also important to note is that like this whole culture of like sexual assault and like groupies and stuff like that isn't new to our industry. This is something that's been ingrained in the music industry for 40-50 years. So I don't think it's something
Starting
so
with
simple.
rock stars. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think it's something so simple where a snap of your fingers is going to make it go away when it's so ingrained in the industry. And do I have an answer for how to fix that? No, but do I think we should maybe, and I mean, I wish we had, like, if we have more females that have opinions on this topic, I feel like as like a straight white man, like running my mouth on this, like it's not important, right? I should be listening more. So like if you have opinions on this and ways to like that we should all move forward, like please tweet them to Rob or whatever. Like I would love to listen more. But yeah, this is something that's been so ingrained in the industry. So
and like this is nothing that any of us personally could change, but it would be nice to see like more opportunities for women within working like professional for some like Insomniac, you know, like we don't know what their staff ratio is like. We just know like Pascal is the face of it. Obviously, it's male run. Why couldn't a woman be the face of that company? Or like why couldn't a woman be a booking agent or even a fucking artist manager? Most of them are males that I've met from like bands and stuff. I think I've met like 3 managers, you know. I think that's, you know, just average rave goers could do, but I think normalizing and making more opportunities for women in the rave professional space kind of not stop the whole groupie mentality, like any girl backstage is just there because she wants to flirt with DJs, but like it would at least normalize fact that like, yeah, women do fucking work for these companies and deserve the same amount of respect, you know. It's the same job. And yes, your man is the one.
absolutely. And then I wanted to touch on what I was talking about for cancel culture as well, is that term is just kind of silly to me, because like Rob mentioned, like no one's really actually getting canceled. They're still like able to have, or at least it seems like they're still, either whether they're ghostwriting or whatever, it looks like they're still able to stay in the industry. But yeah, cancel culture is not a great term. It's really all about accountability. You know, and if you're getting called out on shittiness, I've always used this, like, don't get bitter, get better. Like if you're getting called out on your shittiness, just, I mean, take that moment. That's a learning moment. Take that and like look internally and think like, why am I thinking this? Maybe it's, you know, the environment I've been growing up in, but ultimately like you should be wanting to grow. That's the only way we move forward in the industry and make this a better place for all of us and make this more inclusive for all of us. So it just takes that being self-critical and that awareness, and just trying to learn and grow. So
yeah.
Yeah.
You can go ahead. Were you have something to say? All right.
Oh no.
No. Okay.
No.
All right. No. So yeah. No. I agree completely with a lot of those points. And something that DJ Basket said, especially since like female DJs, like that is the most annoying thing that I also see, like, are female blank, female this, and it's something also you see on Twitter and just in general as the movement of like understanding that when you attach that word female in front of something, it's actually kind of derogatory. Like you're like separating them and you're like calling them like females this, females that. Like they are women, they're a woman, they're powerful, they're making like they're taking their place, they're doing their thing just as heavy as anybody else. Like you know, like even that statement was like not like totally gender appropriate, but like you like the thing is like they're people working just as hard, and we need to elevate them and protect them just as much as any other artist, and we need to stop being so. I think when I think the appropriate thing to do when you see a woman in art that is being talked to in a wrong way is to hold that person accountable. And even if it platforms what they're having to say, I think sometimes it's very important to put the conversation in public so people can read and have a different point of view. Like saying what Visual Ecstasy was saying earlier was like he didn't get to see all the things that were going on before we got on Twitter. And I had that conversation with somebody else earlier in the week too. It was like before they joined Twitter, they had no idea how all these people were acting or who they were or any of that stuff. And as toxic as it can seem, it is often, you know, like sometimes knowledge is just that way. Like when you learn something, you kind of ruins the you know, the shiny veneers. It ruins, and you get to see the decay behind them, and you get to find a way to be healthy and fix it. So sometimes it's worth it to be kind of a pain in the ass, and to platform maybe to what is that called? Unwillingly platform somebody by saying something negative to them, so other people can understand that their actions are and thought process may be not aligned with the growth of the community.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point too. Like, we're so ingrained in Twitter that like we don't realize there are people who go to these festivals and stuff like that, or go to shows that have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. They're just like, oh, I see this name, I like that person, when they could be one of these people that was exposed and stuff. I think that's a really interesting point. Like, how do we we gotta let them know, like, hey, don't support these people, they're assholes, So I think that's something we got to work on. We got to grow outside of EDM Twitter.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. And having these conversations. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. Cause even before I joined Twitter, like EDM and all that stuff, it's like before when I would go to the festivals, like before I had a Twitter, like I didn't know who, like I saw it as just like a beautiful, nice community. Everybody was so nice to each other, and like everybody was like so willing to help out each other when you're there. And I'm just starting to think, like, is it because like most of them are just rolling and they're offering your help because they're rolling, or like how it brings out like the emotion out of people, and like it makes me think if these same people are actually nice when they're sober, or like when they're, I don't know, like it's just weird. Like it's just Twitter, the internet in general is just like a whole other side of like everything. So
Absolutely. I think it still reflects the times though too. Everyone says like, oh, how Twitter has changed or all this stuff. It's like Twitter itself is not really changing. It's like all the people are dealing with like all of this shit going on in the world right now. Like, I mean, this is
we're all
like,
bored and stressed.
right. And it's like, this is unprecedented. Like, we've had a Great Depression and we've had a pandemic, and we've also had severe like civil unrest, but we've always had it in like different times. Does that make sense? Like, we've never had it all going at one point. And so you have people cooped up in their house, just seeing all this shit, waking up, being like, oh, just another day stuck in my house type of thing. So yeah, tensions are going to be high. People are going to be like maybe upset, or I guess maybe more aggressive on social media. Like, social media has always reflected the times that people are living through. It's not like something just flipped a switch and this is all of a sudden like this. It's been changing into this over time because of the state of the world. So I think that's something important to note.
This is gonna sound really stupid. This is gonna sound so dumb, and this like old school ravers. I hate myself for saying this, actually, but like maybe we as a community should just actively agree to like rebirth Plur now that we're in quarantine, and like really revisit the heritage of what rave was originally founded, and we've away bigger and bigger in that raving. So right now we don't have like going through a lot at the moment, and it's really easy to get caught up in your own stuff and and just lash out at people, but it's also easy to remember that, hey, like we're all going through the same shit right now, like maybe in different spectrums and like small nuances that are different, but like we're all living through this, and to just like be a little kinder to everyone, and maybe that means funneling out some of the bad apples from the barrel, and just so that when we do back to festivals or something, it's gonna not just getting stupid and raging face. We haven't had a show in a long time. It's just everyone's happy there with each other. There's no more bad blood. No feuds have started because of this stupid fucking quarantine. And like you snapped at someone on Twitter, and now y'all are mortal enemies for no reason when you guys could have been friends. Like had you just had a little bit more empathy for the other person. So like it sounds stupid, but like we should figure out how to bring back Plur.
So so it sounds like we're starting to get into more the culture side of things, the I guess like the pruning of the tree type ideas over the talk about the women in the industry. So like do you guys kind of, I mean, I guess it's just like a more of a statement that we need to do better elevating the women in the industry that are working their ass off, and the not just the women in the industry as far as producers and DJs, but the managers, the just the like the people, stagehands, the people working at the bar, like I guess, and this ties into kind of what we were saying too. Like, it's not just Twitter, right? We have to be better people, and that sometimes it means going out of our comfort zone in person to say like, hey, you can't talk to that person that way, right? Like, a lot of times these things that happen to women in our space happen because so many other people were quiet, right? So we need to do better job together to not be quiet. And if you're uncomfortable doing it alone, talk to somebody else around you and be like, hey, we need to talk to this person together to tell them that's not okay. There is strength in numbers. And I think in general, the group of us are on the same page as far as wanting what's best for the community.
Yeah, all it takes is one person to step up.
Right.
Yeah, it's like these people don't, these creepy people that go to shows or like asshole people, they don't go to their show, they don't go to the shows by themselves, you know? Like, they have friends, they have a group of friends that they go to, that they hang out with constantly. Like, I feel like it's really up to them to just talk to their friend and just figure out what's going on.
So
And I
This
feel like
is a stupid ADD point. I wish I could like link it here, but just remember video often literally filmed at the Gorge, Washington, where they do like Paradiso and Base Canyon. But I think it was a Midsummer Meltdown, and it was I think Santa Gold was playing, and there was just like one solo guy just fucking grooving in his corner, and then eventually
like that.
one other person comes up and joins him, and then all of a sudden there's a group of like 60 people just like going with this one guy that just started this whole chain reaction, and now everyone's dancing and having a good time. Like, that's what it should be like. That's, you said it only takes one person to make a difference, and that's what that made me think of. It's like, it just, one person just needs to start the fucking dance and others will come. Like, someone just has to be brave enough to make that initial move.
yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, that's a really good way to put it. I guess maybe that's the biggest like takeaway is like, start the dance, right? Start the dance. If you start the dance, people are gonna come around you. So if the dance is holding people accountable in person, that's what you need to do. But that's so like, it's not like, so I'm going to move on from women in the industry, as much as that's like a really important topic to continue to talk about. But we started to get into how we handle cancel culture more, and I don't want to hop over anybody else, but like, we're already pretty much in that conversation, so I want to keep going on that. So let me like update this quick. But Cole, you were next on that. So you were talking, kind of reiterate your point where you're talking about how like it's basically, you're reiterating my point, I guess, that I made in that video, that like cancel culture isn't real, right?
Right. I mean, like, the term is just interesting because like, we say that these people are canceled, but ultimately they're not. Like, the person that started the whole wave of that, you know, like, ultimately there's people offline that don't know about this and are still supporting and still listening. So it's like, who's canceled? Like, sure, there's a population of people on Twitter that know about this and stuff and are making those active decisions to not listen or whatever, or to hold this person accountable. But ultimately, like, they're still around. So I think the term itself is just silly. But I think it's important to have accountability. And that's kind of bottom line. And that's accountability with everything. And that kind of goes back to starting the dance. You know, like, someone's got to hold someone accountable, and then the rest should follow suit. But kind of the I mean, I don't know if you want me to I guess position my topic or question at this point.
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically the topic that I wanted to kind of just bring to the table is COVID and its effect that it's had on the industry, and how we're all feeling about maybe some of these drive-in shows and stuff like that, and just general, I guess, kind of feelings about, I guess it just seems like a lack of mutual respect. And that's not even just in our industry or just on EDM Twitter. That's like across the country. So I don't know, maybe if anyone wants to start the thoughts on that. I have a lot to say about it because I personally have been affected by COVID. And a lot of you might not know, but I lost my dad 2 weeks ago to it. So, I mean, to say I don't have a horse in this race would be a lie. Like, I hate everything that's going on right now with COVID. And, you know, and I wish people would set aside some of their selfish desires to even just like allow this spread to stop. And I mean, it's something that's not going to go away until we have a vaccine. And even then, that's a touchy subject as well. It's like, because there's a lot of people that maybe don't trust it and stuff like that. But I do think it's an important topic to talk about. So I'd love to hear what other people think about it.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, during this time, like, I really don't think any shows should be going on, period. But I mean, I guess it's for like the artists, the DJs. Like, what else are they gonna do? Find another job or whatever? But I mean, I personally would never spend the money on a drive-in rave. I would not even go to a show right now. I haven't even thought about it. You know, like, I just have other things. Like, I have other hobbies I could do other than go to a drive-in rave when there's a pandemic going on. You know, like, I have other things like I enjoy doing besides raving. So I feel like maybe some people just gotta, I don't know, find another hobby, or because I really don't think raving is like, you need raving, you know, to like survive or get through your days. You know, like, I don't know. I personally just don't think they're a good idea right now at all.
I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. You can go first.
Okay. I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, you know, because like we were saying, everyone's sitting inside. We're all getting kind of pent up, and like for a lot of us, this is our release, is going to these raves and everything. Like, it's very cathartic. We dance, you know, we talk to people, we socialize. It's just like a good release for us. But obviously, we've seen some shows that have just turned into absolute dumpster fires because they weren't following like the safety protocol. Like we saw it with the Chainsmokers show. We just saw it like a couple of days ago with the ATLian show, where they had an indoor show that turned into like, you know, it was just a clusterfuck. So, you know, I think there are smart ways to do it. Like, we've seen some successful raves where, like, you know, you have your own little area, and like they've been very strict about sticking to that area. I think that seems to me to be like a pretty safe way to do it, as long as people, you know, like you mentioned, have respect for each other, realize like, yes, this is still an area where you can get sick, but if you just like follow your rules and are safe about it, then, you know, you can be safe. Personally, I am not a big fan of the drive-in raves. I like to be social at shows. I like to be in the crowd, you know, mingle with people, meet new people and stuff, talk to people. So it's not my cup of tea, but you know, I think there's a safe way to do it. Like, as long as people like realize the gravity of the situation, like actually stick to the rules, wear their masks, you know, don't crowd around and everything like that.
Yeah. So there's some things going on in the chat that I kind of want to highlight. They're kind of talking about some things. So the chat, they were just talking about mostly, let's see here, try to get back. There's some big walls of text. Let's see here. They were talking about other ways for producers to make. What was that? Yeah, you can go next. I'm just talking about. They're talking about how there's other ways for producers to make money. They're not. You don't have to go out of their way to, like, you know, play these shows, and you know, it's just they have this fundamentally the same feeling that everybody has in this. I think everybody has in this video right now, chat, that there are better ways, like, to do this, right? Like, shows just shouldn't be going on. The drive-in raves, like, they are what they are, but there is I don't see any. When I look at those videos and pictures, it's very rare that people are enforced, that the actual guidelines are enforced, and it's very hard to enforce them. Like even as a DJ or an event promoter, and you can say, oh, I have all these things in place to protect the person. You're gonna have your, you put your security at risk walking around telling everybody that they have to sanitize their hands and keep their mask up, and this, like, especially indoors, like with drinks and stuff, like you have to take your mask down and have a drink, right? Like you're putting, there's just so many different reasons not to do raves, period.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can go ahead next. I was just trying to reiterate basically what the feelings of the chat were. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to go. I got like to. I've been very smart about these. I compromise. So if something happened and I did get COVID, like, it's scary, but there's a pretty severe chance that I wouldn't survive it because I have lupus, which means my immune system is just super fuckety, and so like there's a pretty large chance that it would kill me, and so I've taken it very personally. Like it's very disrespectful, although it has slowed down a little bit, and I'm not going to name specific names, but there were some conspiracy theorists. It's disrespectful to say that COVID isn't real and that this isn't a problem and this is all a government orchestration to control the polls and blah blah blah. Can we just fucking take that out of our vocabulary right now? Like, it's disrespectful to the people who have had COVID. It's disrespectful to the people who have lost people because of COVID. It's basically saying that the thing that has affected them so heavily isn't real and they just need to get over it, and like, no, it's rude. So that was my big rant about it. I haven't seen it on Twitter as much recently, but there was a big period of time where all the wooks came out of their K-holes and spewed some gibberish. But something I've been about is I'm sorry, I did want that reference.
Yeah.
Something I've been thinking about
No,
is
I
like it does
appreciated
seem like the Twitch stream, like the Twitch live stream, kind of. It seems like the Twitch live streams have toned down a little bit, like they're not as they were. I understand that. I personally got to the point where it kind of made me more sad to watch them than excited. Like it's not the same. It's a close thing, but it made me more sad because I wish I was there in person to see this like super awesome set that my favorite artist was fucking throwing down. But I have been thinking about the fact about like, why isn't there an option for pay-per-view Twitch streams? You know, like you pay $15-$20 for a stream. I would do that for my favorite artist. Like, fuck yeah, I'd pay to stream. It would same as going to them and then like a link after you, and that's where you see it. You know, if there was a way to enforce that, I think that would be another good option for artists to continue making revenue like they were touring without having to do stuff like these drive-in raves that aren't enforceable, and these like social distancing raves that just are so stupid because that was never gonna work in this place. People can't even follow the fucking arrows in the grocery store, and you think they're gonna stand 6 feet away from each other at a rave? Like, there's no way. So I do think that there are other options that haven't really been considered. I mean, it's not like I would pay $100 just to watch Ellis Dream play for 2 hours. I love that man more than any.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. It would have to be reasonable amounts, but like I would pay for views, you know? And if it was like you could just fucking open a link and have 4 people there for a festival that was maybe a little bit more expensive, like $50, because there are a couple different people playing. Like everyone throws down $10.
You're like super cutting out, and now you're gone. I think you're gone
Did we
forever.
lose her?
Yeah.
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 Kendall, we lost you.
The
Maybe
end.
she comes
That's
back.
my rant.
We lost you anyway. You were gone. Like your rant ended before prematurely, I think.
They cut the mic.
Man, I think you're.
I'm
here.
You're
There she is.
You're sort of here.
I'm
Oh,
still here.
All right.
Oh, shit.
You're like here off and on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still here.
Tell your neighbors to stop stealing your Wi-Fi.
Wait, I'm sorry. I know. Here, actually, let me turn my phone off Wi-Fi.
Maybe that'll help.
might help.
But yeah, so
Where's my other phone?
I love everyone's input. I mean, I'm kind of feeling the same way, and obviously, I don't want this to turn into an echo chamber.
Right.
You know, but I think it's important. I mean, when you have people like EPROM, who has been in the industry for like 10 plus years, and he's saying like, hey, like, you producers and DJs that are just doing this to make a quick buck to like hold you over in quarantine are screwing over the rest of the producers who want to get back to work and get back to touring. And then like you also have people who are throwing these, you have event organizers that are throwing these events and they're not taking responsibility for when shit goes wrong. You know what I mean? It's constant deflection. One of the local ones that happened, they like strictly blamed it on security because they said security was supposed to be managing social distance measures. That's not security's job.
Right.
Security's job is to kick out people who are drunk and make sure fights don't break out. And I think it's important to remind people that like there's a lot of shit that goes into music festivals. You know what I mean? There's vendors, there's security clientele, there's stagehands, there's stage production, there's A&R. Like there are so many things that go into this, and you have to have communication, clear channels of communication to each individual aspect of a festival. So when they're saying, oh, the security guards weren't doing that, like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Number one, they're not trained to do that. Number two, the event organizers probably didn't communicate that anyways. So, I mean, it's something I see somewhat regularly, you know, like when you have all of these big moving gears, there has to be that line of communication, or a wrench is going to be thrown in one of them.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think it's absurd, honestly. Like full-heartedly, I'm probably not even gonna mince my words. I think it's absurd, and like downright malicious, for like to the point of like not understanding the impact that like this pandemic has on everybody when somebody like puts their entire staff at risk for a show. And it's not just the DJs that do this, the producers that do this, the showrunners that do this, so they all need to be held like more than accountable. Like we should just it's super hard, and this gets back to the cancel culture thing. It's super hard to just be like, all right, we just don't go to their shows anymore. It's super hard to be like, just don't be their friend anymore, or that you can't stop anybody from doing any of these things, right? But like, you have to be super aware as a consumer of the art, the way that we consume our art, about what your money actually matters. Like if you actually like, it's a ripple effect. If you start saying like, listen, anybody that's done this, if there's a list out there, somebody should make a list. Like, it sounds really fucked up, but if somebody makes a list and be like, these are the people that don't give a fuck about you, your family's health, the people they work for's health, and stop pointing. Like, no point is like, if at any point you find yourself having to point a finger for like, hey, this wasn't done right, you shouldn't have ever been doing that, fucking period, right? It's that bad out there. People are losing their lives, their like families, and I want to say like I have like a lot of condolences, Ryan, for the loss of your father. Like I didn't say that earlier, and I apologize, but it's like something that's like gonna hit home super hard for you. And I had COVID, and I was super fucked up on it, but it just took me a super while to get back on it. And I'm a normal, super healthy dude. Like I take care of myself, and I like, you know what? And I had it, and I was fucked up for like over a month. Like, it's no joke. This is real shit. And people have this weird thing where if it doesn't happen to them or somebody know, it doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
And we have to continue to remind people it exists. I don't care how annoying you have to be. It's literally something you have to do. Like, you have to be loud. If you're not loud, people don't pay attention, right? So like, it makes a toxic environment, quote unquote, right? But like, you have to be loud if you believe in something. And we absolutely believe that and you have to vote with our money and our attention. These motherfuckers like have to beyond apologize. They literally have to kiss my ass, like, in order for me to ever pay attention to somebody like ATLiens again, because of what they did. That's fucked up. And they knew what they were doing was fucked up because it wasn't even on any of their socials. It wasn't on any of their socials. They're pretending like it never happened until they got caught. And then they're like, oh, we're sorry.
Like, oh, we're canceling the
Oh, we're sorry. The venue didn't do what they were supposed to do. You knew fucking very well that the venue didn't do what they were supposed to do, and they weren't going to do what they're supposed to do because there was no accountability anywhere besides a Facebook group. Like, come on, man. Like, do better. Like, period.
Show, I feel like how much they're hurting too. I feel like the people who are shows right now, I feel like those are people who are like the most desperate for. I mean, not desperate obviously, because I mean, like, I just feel like it's really that hard for you to just like the chain smokers, like in general, they're like so huge. Like, you think people won't listen to them if they're on stage and they get on the mic real quick just to be like, hey, like, why can't you guys? Can you guys just social distance, or like we're gonna stop playing? Like, why can't they just do that? Like, I saw someone chat, Otter, they made like a really good point. And it's like, is it really that hard for them to do that?
Yeah, get on the mic and say like, yo, I know I'm fucking ruining the vibes, but get the fuck out.
That.
Yeah, exactly.
What were you gonna say, Kendall?
I wanted to touch base on that because I'm typing in the chat too, but a lot of times I try to be a little bit mean.
You're cutting out again.
With certain promo companies or certain news and stuff like that, where they say anything bad. Damn it! Hold on.
Okay. You can type it in chat if you need to.
Oh, she gone.
I switched to my phone. You hear me better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I switched to my phone because that just was not working. Oh my gosh, chat's so stupid. But I was trying to say in chat is that sometimes certain artists have like exclusivity contracts with venues or promotion companies to where they're not allowed to say anything negative about that venue. Otherwise, they risk losing that contract, which, like, I think in any other time it might not be that big of a deal. But right now, you know, they're struggling for money. They're not touring and stuff like that. So cutting ties can be a little bit more of a difficult decision to make. And so I try to give a little bit more leeway to them. I do agree what ATLiens did was shady because they knew it wasn't going to be, you know, what they said it was. They hid it because they knew that they were fucking up. So I do think that aspect is shady. But I sometimes I understand why they don't speak up about certain things that happen because they legally can't. They have like non-disclosure agreements.
Yeah.
And stuff signed with these companies.
Yeah.
Even just I mean, you made the legal standpoint, yeah, but even just from a business standpoint, that's a bad business move to talk shit on a venue that you have potential to play at. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, why would you limit your options like that? But then it's just silly to me because then they come back and they're like, oh, like, we canceled the show. We didn't realize the venue wasn't going to be prepared. And it's like, dude, have you been paying attention to any of these shows happening?
Right.
No one is prepared.
Yeah.
Like, there is no preparedness that is going to be 100% foolproof for this shit. Like, there's just not.
Yeah.
Like, why did you think you would be the exception, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, I fully agree. And so I want to touch on something with that too. It's really interesting to me. Right, like, so these people are getting into business deals, I guess, like with non-disclosure agreements and stuff, where their morals and I guess their ideals can be compromised. And I think that's just a bigger problem overall with music in general and art in general. Like, if you get yourself into a position where your morals and your ideals can be compromised, I think you're in a bad spot, and you need to do whatever you can to not have that happen as an artist. Like, I don't care, like, if it was like a three.
That happens with promoters.
It does. Oh, it does.
Not just artists. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's like, it's. I'm not saying it's a completely 100% avoidable, but like that's, I think, is a problem. So many people, you like. This is getting into maybe a larger topic, but one of the bigger problems you see, everybody has these like these dark, shadowy figures that they talk about in the music industry, right? But nobody ever says anything about it because of all these agreements. People need to do, like, we're in a really good spot right now where we're all like basically starting from square one and everybody's struggling in all these different ways. This is a really good time to get away from all that, right? Like, start creating your own personal brands where you can market and do these things yourself. And maybe it might knock you down a whole lot of notches in the industry and maybe but at least you would have some like, you know, control
Integrity.
over, yeah, you would have an integrity. I think our scene in general from the very top lacks integrity. And I think one of the biggest problem is we're buying so much into the marketers. We need, as a group of educated consumers, to start taking back and start recognizing when we're being marketed to by shady people. And
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I want to jump off that, and I do hope that after this whole COVID thing, I mean, this is sad because I feel like this would negatively impact the industry for at least a little bit. Like, it's going to be hard to recover from this in general. But, like, Excision with Lost Lands and Liquid Stranger with Wakan Fest, that's their thing. It's not through a promotion company, so they have a little bit more freedom to have their integrity. Like, we've seen how Jeff does with Lost Lands, like how there was that one year where security was being like too rough with people and he just fired the whole fucking security team and got a new one in there so things would be a little bit more consistent. Promoter companies don't have that kind of freedom because they have so many like legal contracts and business, like they're not making any money. They have to make the money to book the artist to make the money.
Right.
So I think they're the middleman, honestly. So I would really love to see, you know, I mean, I'm a huge Dead fan, but a whole, not just Dead Rocks, but a whole Dead Fest would be so fucking sick. Like, I really hope that we start seeing things like that where it's more artist run.
Yeah.
Because it also helps. This is why Lost Lands tickets are usually so cheap. It also helps the consumers because, you know, Excision isn't paying his booking fee for his own festival, you know, and Excision, like, I forgot, he's like pretty expensive, but like someone like, I hate saying his name, but like Base Nectar was like 5 times more expensive than Excision was. But still, Excision is the headliner of his own festival. He's not paying the headliner booking fees, and so ticket prices and stuff end up going down because the cost of production of the festival is down. So it helps us at the bottom here who are buying the tickets anyway.
Yeah. No, I agree. Let me get to chat real quick. Chat's saying some stuff, and I want to kind of touch on. You were talking before about like maybe a pay-per-view for streaming to help some of these artists that have been struggling through COVID, maybe not drive them to the desperate attempts at live shows. But they're talking like $15, $20. We're not seeing, there is no precedent besides maybe, I think it was Tomorrowland that tried it. And they didn't really release how successful it was because it wasn't on a public platform. It wasn't on Twitch or anything. So we really couldn't see their numbers. We really couldn't see who was watching, and there's no public information to see if it worked or not. So we really still don't know if we can do a kind of pay-per-view thing, because there is a way to do that through public channels like Twitch and stuff. You can make your stream sub only, and you can have a sub only stream. So you can pay the, you know, $5 or use your Amazon Prime to sub to their, you know, channel. And then you can get basically a free show if you have Amazon already. But there's options like that for them out there to make more money. And I think it is really strange to me that so many artists aren't exploring or at least trying things, right? Because that's what you do in business, right? Like you try to see if it works. If it fails, you didn't really lose a lot of money on a Twitch stream, right? Like you just had one that didn't do well, and then you just go back to having a free one. So I don't really like this. Like I don't want to like I have a pretty decent setup, and it wasn't that expensive. You could pull it off. Like you can, you know what I mean? Like it's not that, you know, over the top to figure out. So, and that's the other thing. Somebody was talking about, yeah, you have the NDAs, but like on stage, you can definitely say something to like the people, right? Like, so like, even if it's not for the venue, you can be like on the mic and be like, hey, you guys over here, like spread apart. Like you can do that. Like, like be like, hey, I hate to kill the vibes in our DJ set, but we're kind of in the middle of a pandemic and you guys are fucking it up. So you guys need to go. Like you.
I just don't think that they would have the ability to threaten stopping playing.
No. I mean,
I think that's when their contract would come into play.
Right. But they can definitely call it out. I mean, public shaming is definitely a tool that can be used. You know what I mean? So.
I agree with that, but I feel like they can only call it out so much.
Right.
Right. Or like, what if you're stopping it every 5 minutes because people just don't fucking listen?
But
You
that's
know what I mean? Like that's one of the biggest issues with this whole thing is people just don't fucking listen.
right.
You know
But
what I mean?
But that
So
but
it's
that
just
calls into
like-
question to be like, hey, look, like you guys ruined the set. We did everything we could, right? And that at the end of the day, it puts the responsibility on the people that are fucking up. And maybe we'd have a little bit of a like I still think and overall the situation is ass and we shouldn't just do it. We just don't do it. But when you're there, you have to actually be you like when you're elevated on the stage, you're the leader of that whole fucking you're the ringleader, right? So you have to control the people around you. You see it all the time. Other DJs do it like, "Hey, you stop fucking beating up that guy." Like, you know what I mean? You see that shit all the time. You have the ability to orchestrate and control the audience. That's why they're there. They're there for you. So like do something.
Thankfully, no one's getting their ass kicked every 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
It's just that they're grouping together.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I don't think there's a safe way to do it right now. And
None.
unfortunately, like it is one of those sad things where it's like, yeah, producers and artists are losing their main source of income, but you have to keep in mind so many other places are losing it too. Like, and I'm not saying that to diminish anything, but I'm just saying that like everyone is going through this shit. Like, for example, I was working for a music festival company. I got furloughed because we stopped, like, festival clients stopped messaging me, like basically emailing me. I managed accounts for like festivals. So when they had canceled or postponed, now I don't have any updates from them for like 8 months because they don't know what the hell is going on with COVID. So it's like I literally got furloughed. I had to like kind of jump adjacent to a different industry. So I'm just saying, like, I understand that obviously that's not ideal for producers and stuff. But I'm just saying that like everyone is going through some sort of this and we all need to try and I guess find a way to adapt. Bottom line right now, shows are not safe. And if you need to create more merch drops or find a way to paywall a stream, then I guess that's what you need to do.
Right.
Like, we're gonna have to learn to live with COVID. I hate to be like kind of nihilistic, but we have to kind of just learn to live with COVID. It's not going anywhere anytime soon, I don't think. So it's something where we have to adapt.
That's I
I
think
want
the
to jump in.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go
I
ahead.
just want to say something positive because I
Yeah.
saw on Twitter while I was scrolling earlier, S-Fam, everyone should go buy his merch if you have the extra money because I saw that he was even saying that he's working 40 hours full time as a server right now since he can't play shows. And I respect that. So go support S-Fam. He's a sick DJ. He's doing the most. He's trying to survive too. That's it. Positivity. Bringing light to good people in the industry.
There you go. That's what's up. I think that's the biggest point. I think that's going to be our big takeaway for this one is like learn to live with COVID. Like if you haven't already found a way to live through the like what's going on, we don't know how long it's going to be around specifically in our country, and we don't know what it's going to be like what the waves are going to be like or anything. We're still very in the dark. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Take care of yourselves and find revenue streams where you can continue to do your work, like your art as your job. Be creative. Stop putting people at risk, period. But learn to live with COVID, period. That's it.
Type that in the chat too.
Yeah. All right. And Visual Ecstasy, I think, is next, right? Then you're the next person with a topic, aren't you?
What was?
Yeah.
Does anyone want to go before?
You're the
I think
last
we
one,
both
man.
yeah?
I've got one, but
Time to
it's
shine, my
your
guy.
time to shine.
What was I had a topic too, but I just completely got so caught into the conversations. I can't remember. I feel like it was gonna be more about the whole cancel culture thing, but we already touched on, like.
Is there,
everything, you know?
is there anything specific you want to touch on? Because that's a huge topic. It goes in a million different directions. So if there's something specific you want to talk about, obviously we're not going to be able to get to everything today, and not everybody's opinion is going to be heard today. But yours is definitely important if you want to talk about something specific.
I feel like I already said it. Like the whole thing about the whole side of like EDM Twitter that I didn't know existed, which was like all this drama and like all that stuff going on. Because like before that, before I got onto Twitter, like like I said, I just thought like the community was so nice to everybody, like everybody was so kind. Like at festivals, like don't get me wrong, it's still super cool. Like it's everybody's still nice. I've never ran in, like fortunately, I've never run into people who are just assholes to me in the crowd or like I mean, I do run into people who just like push through the crowds and like they don't say excuse me. Like that's like the only big thing that's like super annoying to me. Other than that, like everything, like as far as like being at a festival, everything is like perfect to me. But once we go outside of the festival and like we go onto the internet, it's just like a whole completely different world. And that's what I was just basically trying to say.
Do
Like I
you?
wish we could bring that energy to the internet, you know, the same. But I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, that's not how it
No.
works because the
Do,
internet's.
do you? Do you think that do you have an idea, any ideas of how to bring a more positive environment to the internet, but at the same time that's responsible? Do you think there is a you think that's just something that we need to strive towards then in general, or do you have any extra like
Well, I don't
ways to solve the
necessarily
problem?
like I don't have an idea on how to solve the problem, but what was I gonna say? I just lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
Uh, were you gonna say something?
No, just take your time, man. If you had something to say.
Yeah.
You have something to say, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think so. I think one thing we as a rave, especially on EDM Twitter, but we on a rave culture level need to know the limit of accountability versus bullying is what I have seen a lot on EDM Twitter. Is someone gets canceled because they say something, you know, and it's worth canceling them for. Like, fuck yeah, they deserve to, like, they're a shitty person, whatever, cancel them. But at that point, stop talking about it. Stop giving it attention. Stop giving them like the topic life, because you're just escalating the situation more and more and more and making it worse, because at that point then no one is the good guy. You have to hold yourself to a higher standard than the person you're trying to cancel. Once you sink to their level and you start being an internet bully for someone that, yeah, like they might deserve a little bit of it, but like stop fucking telling people to kill themselves, stuff like that. Like,
No, yeah.
Like rude jokes and making fun of them on Twitter.
That is a huge thing that also bothers me. Yeah, you can hold people accountable, but there's something I feel there's something that's like feels definitely wrong when these other tweets go hugely popular of just like really underhanded shitty shit about like saying about all these
them.
Yeah, right. And like it is and that stuff. So there's a difference between calling out people and trying to hold them accountable as a group and a community, and using that negative space to increase your personal influence. That is, you're not adding any value to the community by increasingly making negative points on something that's already been established that is like an awful thing that happened, right? Like if you are not adding value to the community in any way, stop, right? Like stop being an absolute asshole. Like that's what I feel like some people deserve it, I guess you could say that, but it's really important to self-analyze when you're posting at things. Is this for me? Is this because I want attention, or is it because did this tweet blow up? Is that why you're doing this, or are you doing it because you actually believe that you're adding something to the conversation? It's really important for me specifically.
That's true. Very true.
I think eradicating that like echo of like tweets will help make a more positive space, because you just like, hey, this we realize consistently that this is shitty behavior and we don't stand for it, and then ending the conversation there, because then you don't continue to platform the shitty person by making continually negative tweets about them, like we talked about earlier. Were you gonna say something?
It's the mob mentality. Everyone groups up on this person.
Yeah.
And that's when it pushes limits.
It does. And it's important to realize, I think, when that's happening. And there's another thing, like, it's like, here's something that's really true about cancel culture or in general, like when you see negative tweets, right? Like there's something that's like that I see that's really prevalent is that, dude, I lost my train of thought now. What the fuck? It's like going around. I should have wrote that shit down, bro.
Like Michael Scott. Sometimes
Dude,
I start
top
a
five
sentence
worst
and I
things.
don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way.
Yeah.
Rob just said brain go.
Yeah. No, but like something that
Keyword smash.
something that I see often is that like we'll mob up and and we can't. So many people say I'm afraid to say this because I don't want to get canceled. That is like the weirdest sentence ever, right? Like you have that opinion, that's who you are. Say it, have a conversation, bring it out in public, unless it's something like really bad and you, like say it in a group chat or whatever. But you need to fucking you need to articulate those thoughts in the community so we can hold each other accountable better, because the best way to grow as a person is to use other people as a mirror, right? Like that's what we are. That's what we do best, is to grow as people. We have to bounce off one another. So when you say like, I'm afraid to get canceled, that is a really interesting conversation. It means that you are villainizing a group of people. You have no idea how actually is going to respond to the way you say, right? And if you think you have something important that has to be said, you should say it, period. Like that's just if you're adding value to the group and you need to say something, say it. And if you're afraid to get canceled, we're going to say it right now again. Cancel culture is fake. If you say something that gets you canceled and you have like 400 followers, you're probably going to end up with like 900 by the end of that fucking rotation. Like that's just the way it goes. Like because you have negativity, it's negativity bias. Human beings see things that are negative first, and then it trickles down to positivity. We have to enforce positivity. It's not our natural way of thinking. So that's what I had to say about that. I don't know why I lost it, but yeah.
I think that's something incredible, kind of in that lane on chat.
So was that?
Otter Daddy 4.
What do you
One
say?
thing that's hella fucked, when someone gets canceled, oh damn it, it scrolled.
No, I see it.
When someone gets canceled, people will jump and drag. Stop fucking moving.
Chat, stop talking so she can read it.
Chat, stop talking. Drag the fuck out of them, but the drag ends up becoming bigoted, whether that's fatphobic, racist, ableist, transphobic, etc. Like they'll jump down their throats and be like, "Yeah, that's why you look like a man," or something. Like, "Yeah, shut the fuck up. You suck dick in your free time," shit like that. You
Absolutely.
can drag people without talking shit about a marginalized community.
Yes, thank you. That is really important to say, Otter Daddy.
I agree with that, but I don't think we should be dragging these people in general. Say they're a shitty person. Say they're canceled. That's it. That's all you need to say about that situation. You don't agree with it. Give alternate viewpoints for why it's wrong without making it a personal attack on that person, and then move on with your fucking day.
And here's another thing that I believe absolutely needs to stop is like somebody else in chat said it too. Bringing personal drama and then trying to get a large group of people, like injecting your opinion of their like your beef, injecting that with your large group of followers and trying to get that person canceled, or like creating like a negative space for that other person. That's your personal beef. Stop bringing up you're like, because here's something that absolutely happened. The follower trains that happened platformed some really great people and gave some really good people voices, right? And it brought a lot of us together, period, right? Like it just did. Okay. But the other thing is it gave a lot of people who don't really bring any kind of anything to the table a lot of a huge following, and sometimes those people take their personal beef out on other people, like with their followers, and they weaponize their followers, and that's really important. That's really negative. Like it's one thing to say that you have an issue with this person. It's another to weaponize your followers and try to get that person bullied. That is really immoral, in my opinion. I think that because those people follow you and look up to you, whether you like it or not, and you have the ability to wield your followers a certain way. And if you take your 10K followers and go, this person's an asshole for this reason, with no receipts at all, there's like probably, if you have like 10,000 followers, at least 200 are gonna fuck with that person. And you have to understand that's gonna be a real thing that happens. and you have to hold yourself responsible for that.
So we're
I think
saying Robert should stop
as
posting
well.
screenshots of the people that he blocks. Huh?
I mean, that's just you can like look. That's just everybody does something like that, right? Like it's a human nature to be like, that person fucking sucks. Here's why, right? But you have to be really aware of the kind of power that you wield when you do that on a public forum. That's just the way it is.
I think there's a big problem too where people have that my follower count matters thing too, and like you said, they weaponize it, and it's like, listen, we're all people. Like, sure, you might have beef with an individual person, but if it's not like, as long as they're not being racist or homophobic or generally exclusive in general, like, you're not better than them. Like, sure, you might disagree on like, oh, maybe they don't like this artist, or maybe they treated one of your friends poorly, but like, just because you have 10,000 followers and they have a couple hundred, that doesn't mean shit. Like, we're all people, you know what I mean? Like, I think it ties into what Kendall said earlier. It's like we got to extend that empathy to people and like just treat people as people.
I agree.
Yeah, it's kind of baffling to me that people can't just leave people alone. Like, in the sense that, like, people are homophobic or people are racist. It's like, just let people live their fucking lives. And if they're not like directly hurting you or having a negative impact on you, then just fucking don't worry about it. Yeah. Like, mind your own damn business.
Yeah, it's not a business. Yeah.
People are too invested in their online appearance. I think the biggest flaw about EDM Twitter. Like, I love EDM Twitter. It's brought me some of my best friends. Like, I've moved across the country for someone I loved, even though it didn't work out. Like, EDM Twitter has changed my life. But people are way too invested in what they look like on EDM Twitter instead of just being a part of the community.
Yeah.
They want to be, the hot popular one with lots of followers, and every fucking tweet gets like thousands of likes and goes viral and stuff. And that's not important. Like, it's about the connections that you make with people, not about having fans. And we need to stop idolizing people within the EDM Twitter community for being like EDM famous. Like, I fucking hated that when it was just like localized before EDM Twitter was a thing, and we had like the rave famous people in Seattle, like the it couple and stuff like that. I fucking hated it then. Like, this isn't high school. This isn't, we're not in a sorority or a fraternity. There's not a fucking leader. There's not a top dog. There's not an alpha. Like, we're all brought together by our mutual love of one thing. So, like, we're all equals.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make it be like a ranking system.
Absolutely. I wanna like touch on a more positive note too. And I think it's fun. I'm seeing Jay. I see you in the chat. Actually, I see all of you in the chat, and I've wanted to type to you guys, but full disclosure, I don't know what the fuck my login is for Twitch. So that's just not happening. But I see you guys. I love you guys. But yeah, I see Jay in the chat, and he's like, dude, it's just an app on your phone. Like, it's literally that simple. The cool thing is that this app does have some power. Like, I've met so many different people from Twitter. Like, I have friends now across the country just because of this app. Like, I've met up with people at festivals from Twitter, all of this stuff, and I would not have the people in my life and the support system that I currently have without it. And so I think that's something important, and that's something that still needs to be so you guys said it was Jay.
No, it's Anthony.
Did I miss that part? Were you guys just trolling?
It's Anthony.
Okay. What's up, Anthony?
Somebody said my name starts with a J.
I swear to God, I didn't just see that. I'm not seeing
I think
things.
Anthony said something about Jay and wanting Jay to be on an episode with him.
Someone said something about Jay, and then Anthony said, "Hi, that's me," but he was replying. Okay, never mind. Anyways, point is, Twitter does have like a very positive influence, and I think that's something important to kind of touch on. I thought with the whole quarantine and everything that like I would not feel as connected to people, as not being in quarantine. And to be completely honest, with the shit that I've gone through, like, the support system that I have is just so incredible. And I want to thank everyone for that. And yeah, I mean, there is positivity to Twitter.
Right.
Ultimately, it is just an app, but there is that positive power of creating that community and keeping people connected. And I think we really need to take a step back and maybe like touch back on those roots of what it really was. Ultimately, you're not going to get rid of the negativity, right? Like that's still going to happen. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. The negativity sometimes is heard the loudest.
Just fucking
but
unfollow them.
No, yeah, absolutely. But I'm just saying, like we do tend to perpetuate negativity, and I'm not innocent of that either.
Same. I don't think any of us are.
I think it's important to be real. I think a lot of the fake positivity can only be detrimental to yourself. But it's just important to touch on, like, Twitter absolutely is and can be a very positive place, and I've met a ton of people from it, and I'm thankful for that. And I just want to end at least that kind of my little section of that conversation on that positive note.
Yeah, thank you. That's important.
That's a good point too, is that it's Twitter, so literally you can interact with it however you want. So like, just do whatever the hell you want on it. Someone you disagree with, block them. You know, it's entirely customizable, like your experience with Twitter. Like, it's literally in your hands. And like, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she was like, "Oh, like I just want to like spread good vibes or whatever, you know, that general phrase, good vibes." And like, literally, I was just like, just start small. Just like start with the person next to you. Start small. Just connect with them, and then just build out from there. It's literally that easy. And like, I think we touched on that earlier. It's like, that's how we just make the just start dancing, like the first person dancing. Like, just start small and just grow out from there. And sure, yeah, there will be some bad apples, but like, again, you can block them out, you know, customize your experience however you want it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's said really well that there is some power in the app. Like there's a positive power in the app where connectivity is power. It's we're connecting to all these people. Look at all these people in the chat. Look at all you guys. Like, I am firmly invested in all of you guys. I care about you all very deeply, like from just my interactions with you. And it doesn't always seem that way, but like I try my best to bring value every day to this community because I care about it so much. Like I put in the work to make sure we are elevated, right? We have these conversations because we are more than the sum of our tweets, right? Like when we're all of us here, I didn't know as intimately as I have learned within this 1 hour. And even though we've been tweeting with each other for like, you know, forever, right? Now it feels like at this point, right? So like now we know each other. Now we have conversations with each other, and it is important to remember that we are all more than the sum of our tweets. We are all people, and we need to connect with each other that way. And we need to do better at that to elevate our community to where it's supposed to be. And there is power in the app. Like, it is important to understand that people with a lot of followers do have the ability to manipulate the algorithm to see what's going on. So we do need to hold them just as accountable as any of the artists in the industry. And so the focus should always be on the music and the art and the connectivity. Anytime it starts to get negative, it's important for all of us to be like, hey, like as nice as possible to be like, hey, look, like this isn't what we stand for and we need to do better. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Chat is very appreciative of Rob Squared right now.
Rob Squared? Like the two Robs. There we go, yeah. We try out here. All right, so I think it's in my turn now. I feel you know what? I'm always like really judgy, like, oh, these guys are fucking, you know, like, man up, it's your turn, right? And then it's my turn and I feel just as fucking nervous. So like, so here's some, I'm gonna make a really bold statement, right? I'm gonna make it right here first in the text of the chat.
A straw has 2 holes.
Yeah, absolutely. A straw is 1 hole through a fucking singular cylinder object, okay? That is the most important thing we need to take from this talk today. All right. EDM Twitter is dead. That's how I feel about it.
Jeremy, keep it PG.
Jeremy is never gonna keep it PG. That's just the who he is as a person.
Jeremy PG, that's laughable.
I think EDM Twitter, as it was originally came to be, has died. It is no longer what you know. The version 1 of it was absolutely hey, if you love slander, headbanging to slander and crying to fucking Millennium, we should be friends. Follow me. And now that person has 3,600 followers, right? And that was like the number one where we connected over very specifically the music. That was something that really brought us together more than anything. And the current version of that is not true. I do not believe that our current focus of EDM Twitter is the music or any of the art or the people surrounding it. And
the popularity.
It is a popularity contest. It is a it is constantly used as a platform for furthering other agendas. And there are some positive things that go with that, like we talked about. But we do need to understand that this version of EDM Twitter is essentially dead. We just have whatever's left of the community and our connectivity. And we need to do better at birthing a new EDM Twitter, holding each other accountable, being more positive, focused, not necessarily being more positive, but trying to bring a better energy and recreate something that's more focused on the music and more focused on the art and more focused on bringing acceptance and love to each other, which means holding each other responsible also. I think that's something that comes with, like, you were talking about bringing Plur back. And I was actually thinking something very similar, but like a Plur 2.0, right? Because you can't have like peace without justice, right? So there needs to be something said about certain things in order for us to be peaceful. And then you can't have love and unity without respect. You need to be respectful of the people, and you can't have all those things without respect and accountability. So like there is like a literally a shadow to Plur, and you need, like, it's just as like there's a shadow like to your personality. There's a shadow to our sociology of who we are as a group, and we need to recognize that and like do things so we could be more Plur. It's like a Plur 2.0. It's more of like a conscious decision than it is a something that's just, that's not very Plur. No, when you hold somebody accountable, that's the most Plur thing you can fucking do, because you're creating experience for newcomers and for people alike. And that's just my opinion. I think that's something that we need to do. And I think that's currently the state of EDM Twitter is it doesn't exist, and we need to bring it back to what it actually is.
We have like raver Twitter right now. It's not about the music anymore. It's just about
the people. It's personalities.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And I want to bring up something that I thought about for a long time, since you brought sociology into this. So, I mean, there are only 5 of us in here, but like, I'm curious. So like, of the 5 of us, how many of you guys were like not the popular kid in high school? Like, were you were bullied? You were kind of like an outsider. Like, were we all in that kind of category of people in high school?
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I was a nerdy guy.
Within the rave communities, this is something that we found that brought us joy. And when it first started, it was so beautiful because everyone's included. There were no like social hierarchies, we just loved the music, and that's what brought us together. It wasn't about, like, a little bit of it is what you look like and what you dress like and stuff like that. There's always going to be a super official aspect to it, but it was way more about, like just getting together with some friends and like dancing under lasers and vibing and like interacting with strangers and trading candy and stuff like that. We don't have any of that anymore. When raving started to get more and more mainstream, the EDM bubble has been growing and growing and growing. And honestly, I still don't think it's fully popped. Maybe Corona will have something to do with the popping of it, but EDM is very mainstream. Like, thanks Skrillex for that, but also like Skrillex for that, because it definitely changed the scene, because now like even commercials and stuff like that, it's all EDM. It's very, very, very mainstream, and so we've kind of lost some of the people that joined because they were looking for a home and a community. Now it's the cool thing to do, and with that, the starts to change, because those were the people that kind of brought that social structure in, because that's what they're used to. They started doing it because it was hip and like fun and edgy, and like look how little they could wear, and like post pictures and get tons of likes, and like it started to become more superficial the bigger EDM got, which is expected. Like, it's just kind of the way of loving something goes. You know, you find a band, you love them, they blow up, and then you get all the hipsters that were like, I liked them before they were cool, because now it's like everyone fucking likes them, and you don't want to be associated with who likes them. You know, not everyone who likes them for the right reasons. They like them because they play on the radio. And so I agree with the fact that there is a darker side to Plur, because there is a darker side to true ravers, you know, like people who do it more than to just get fucked up and dress skimpy and stuff like that. We most of us are fighting demons. That's why I think mental health awareness is so big for EDM Twitter. Like, so many of us struggle with depression and anxiety, and you know, most of us have attempted suicide at some point in our life. Like, there is a darker side to raving, which is why we got into raving in the first place. It was the thing that brought us joy. So people started using Plur as a way to force positivity, to say that no, you can't talk about these things, you have to be Plur. But that's where the unity thing comes so into play. You have to accept people as a whole for all of who they are, not just the good parts of what they are. There needs to be a balance, and I think that's why Plur died, because it started to be used in the wrong way, and then it just kind of faded out. Like, it was just like someone would say something like they had a bad day or something like that, and people were like, keep it Plur, like keep the good mindset, blah blah blah. But that's not what Plur is about. Like, it's about listening and being there for that person when they've said they've had a bad day, instead of like forcing this positivity down their throat, because raving is not entirely positive. I fucked my screen up. Now I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. But
No, you're good. That was awesome.
That was really great.
Yeah, no, something I want to touch on is, like, obviously, you know, to your point that we kind of use it as an escape, like, absolutely. And it's one of those things where now the festivals and stuff that we went to where we use them as an escape are gone. So now no one has that escape. So now we all are just stuck with our anxiety and maybe like a bit of depression. And so that gets amplified on Twitter, and that kind of equals the current state of what we have. But the most important thing, and I've never been one to claim Plur, but I feel like I am a Plur person. Like, I don't know. I feel like I just like to treat others the way they want to be treated, and the way I would want to be treated. And I think the most important letters of Plur are that unity and that respect. And without that unity and respect, we can't even have that peace and love. So,
facts.
I think it just starts there.
Kendall, you're there's some feedback on your audio.
My audio? Oh, that's because I have my phone
on the speaker.
Sorry, I'll hold it.
That's okay.
Good.
I'm crafting it on my Squishmallow.
Yeah. Oh, and another point. Sorry,
Go ahead.
want to touch on this, but this is something that I scream about into the void. Is the paradox of tolerance. You cannot use Plur if you're being a piece of shit to tell people to not hold you accountable. When someone comes after you and says, "Hey, that's not cool, you should change that," you can't go to them and say, "That's not very Plur of you," because your respect was non-existent to begin with. So then you don't get that respect in return.
Fact.
And that's all I'll say about that. Please do yourself a favor and Google paradox of tolerance.
Yeah,
Please,
definitely.
I'm begging you.
It's huge.
And yeah, I'll just kind of shut up now.
Hold on, I'll get to something that was going on in the chat too. Otter Daddy said it. I feel like we definitely can have like a new birth of a new EDM Twitter, and come back to our roots. But first, we have to do what we're doing now. We have to call out the racists, because we're finding out there's so many. As a black man in the scene, it's hard as fuck for me to feel safe and accepted. We have to call out the sexual abuse, the ableists, the straight up dickhead asshats and purists. We have to empty ourselves of the bad apples. And I completely agree with that. That is, I think, part of the growing process. I think we have to continue doing that, but we also have to build, right? We've learned that we have to do that, right? We have to prune all the fucking dying leaves from our bonsai tree, right? In order for it to continue to grow. Like, we have to do that. But at the same time, we have to still water it, right? We can't just be like, this told she is shit because of all these fucking things, right? So like, we have to protect the women in our scene. We have to protect the black men and women and the people of color in our scene. We need to elevate all those topics to the forefront while also taking care of each other, right? We have to bring that aura of and we have to not be righteous about it. That's another thing. Like this, being righteous is addicting, and that's a real fact. Like going on and feeling like you're doing something on Twitter by being an asshole to somebody who is also an asshole. It feels good, but is it doing anything? And you need to be aware of that. Like if somebody already says something, you can agree with it and platform what that person was saying, but you need to be really careful about not devolving that into like a I don't know, I can't think of a better term besides circle jerk, right? Like not turning that into something that's like just like a pit of shit. So like we really do need to, Jeremy is correct, we do need to continue to protect the marginalized people in our community, because we are about being welcome to everyone. And it's important too, right? Like when we hold people accountable, this is like touchy, but we also need to understand that we have to give them space for growth. And if you attack a person a certain way continually, it doesn't give them much room to grow. So we need to like give them time to process, because I know personally I'm very good personally at saying I was wrong, but I don't always do it at first. I'm gonna be an asshole at first, be like, I don't know about all that. And then like 10 minutes later, I'll send you a text like, fuck, my bad. I needed some introspection time. And everybody processes information differently, and we need to be respectful of that also. So like we need to hold people accountable, but in a way that continues to give them growth. And if you believe that person is able to change, that's also very important.
I have an important tangent.
Go.
And
Let's hear it.
controversial.
Go ahead.
It's kind of controversial, but like as far as approving EDM Twitter, I do think holding people accountable is very important, and revamping Twitter and stuff like that. But I do think this is honestly one of the reasons why I haven't scrolled Twitter very much recently. And I hate talking about this because I feel kind of preachy, but I have noticed the big thing on Twitter, especially in quarantine, is a lot of people are glorifying excessive drug use.
Oh my God, yes.
Which is it's a hard topic to talk about, but it does tie into the Plur, because I mean we've said it's peace, love, unity, and respect, but the original Plur also had responsibility. It had that second R at the end, and we don't say that because we forget about it. And I log into Twitter and I see people talking about how much fucking ketamine they're doing and how much acid they're doing this quarantine, and like I love rolling for every live stream. Like you should be giving your brain a break. I mean, yes, drug use is never going to stop being part of our culture.
Yeah, it's part of the freedom of our culture, but at the same time, it also you have to be respectful of your body and the people around you when you're using.
And if
and I feel like we're idolizing these
Oh.
people who just keep saying like, "Oh, I love Coke so much," blah 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 blah. Like it makes them super cool for the fact that they love Coke that much, when really that's not a good thing. Coke is a highly addictive drug. Like you should have a talk with them and see if maybe like what level their drug use is at, because if you're ignoring that, you're not doing your part as being an empathetic, caring person to see like, why do you love Coke so much? Why are you so dependent on this substance to have a good time? Like, is there something that we can do to make you feel safer in this community where you don't feel the need to do excessive drugs to be part of it?
Yeah. Did Visual Access, did you have something to say?
No, I was just gonna say, like, just add on to what she was saying, is just that, like, I feel like if you are struggling with like mental health and stuff like that, like obviously it's not healthy for you to be like abusing substances like that, and then also just bragging about it on Twitter openly. But I mean, I guess it comes into play too, like with their like that's when you have like that's how you know when I guess you have real friends that are really looking out for you, that are like checking up on you and making sure like you're not just taking drugs just because you're depressed, or you're you're
To
not in a
fill a
good
void.
yeah, like I feel like it's up to your friends too to be there for you and to be able to talk to you and for you to be able to trust them with whatever's going on in your life to to better your mental health and like help you express yourself, like help you get away from those things in a healthier way than doing drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. You need to be better friends to each other. But you have something to say? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, like Kendall said, we do have our struggles, mental health, all that stuff, and a lot of people use drugs as like a temporary fix to that. And like we're saying, it's all this idea of accountability, and it's like, yes, you're accountable for your friends too, like you should be. You should respect them enough to say, hey, I noticed you're taking a lot of drugs. Like, what's going on? Like, are you okay with your mental health? Like, do you just need to talk about shit? Like, I know personally for me, like, whenever I do dabble with drugs or whatever like that, most of the time it is because like I don't want to deal with shit right now, and it's like a temporary fix to the solution. So like, but you got to like check in on your friends, see where they're at, and if it is a problem, like speak up because you do care about them, and like you don't want it's drugs can be very destructive. Like it's a thin line between where it's good and where it's bad, and it's very easy to tip over that edge, and you just gotta like just take care of your homies.
Yeah. Somebody in chat said it really well. Like, bring back rave families, right? Like, like obviously we're connected to each other on a huge level, on an astronomical global level now with EDM Twitter. But it's also just as important to have a circle of people next to you that know you more intimately than anybody else, so that you can open up to them and trust them, right? And if they end up being asshole people, yeah, I mean, then it's your responsibility, and then you can make those decisions, like kick them out. Like, this guy's an asshole, actually. Like, you don't always have to deal with the assholes in the group. There's somebody that has the patience for that, right? Like, I have a couple of assholes in my group. They know it. I love them anyway. Like, somebody will take care of the assholes if you can't. But like, somebody, you need to bring everybody in as a family every once in a while and hold people, like, do that. Be like, hey man, like, I see that you're fucking having issues with this, and this. Can we talk about it? And I think that's just as important part of the rave family as like getting them water when they're fucking doing this thing. You know what I mean? Like, like it's just as important. But I agree with that completely. What they were saying in chat.
Oh shit! I lost my train of thought now.
There it is.
But like we should take more responsibility on ourselves too. Like, I've been working on it a lot where if I am struggling, like I reach out to people because like you got to realize you're not alone. Like if you're with your rave fam or whatever, your close friends, like at least I know I want to hear about this stuff. Like I want to hear like, hey, are you struggling? Please let me know. Let me help you. Let me like talk you through this, give you a different perspective. And so like whenever I struggle with things, I try to reach out and say, hey, I'm struggling right now. Can I talk about this? So, like, I think we need to take more responsibility for that as well. Like realize you're not alone. Your problems are real. Talk about them with someone before you like divulge into drugs and all the self-destructive behavior. Yeah, I fully agree. That's something that we can all work on. So that's pretty much where we're at, right? Like, let's after the first episode, I think it was pretty good. We did a really good job of arguing nicely. It could have been way worse, right?
Debating.
Yeah.
I hate you now. Fuck all of you.
Yeah. Just kidding. Goodbye.
Gonna go bitch about you guys on Twitter for clout.
Hey, look,
Please drag me.
as I said, it'll elevate my platform. So go ahead, talk. I'm an asshole.
Drag me so I can finally feel something, please.
Yeah. All right, thank you guys. We're 45 minutes over time, but it was worth it. That was amazing. Thank you guys. That was great. All right, thank you guys. I'm out. Have a good night, everybody. I guess Blur 2.0. Everything. Make everything. Take care of each other. That's it, right? Take care of each other. All right. Take care of your brains. Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.